What's up, Taiwan? Good morning. I'm Erika Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The 2022 Winter Olympics are in full swing. Almost 3,000 athletes from 91 countries are competing, including 4 from Taiwan. But it's not all fun and games. A number of countries are holding diplomatic boycotts of the Beijing Games in protest over China's human rights record. Others are staying away due to the pandemic and COVID restrictions. Bing Wang has more.
The 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics opened with a spectacular display of lights and fireworks broadcast globally from an empty stadium. Though COVID safety measures kept people away from the opening ceremony, they came out in droves around the world to protest China's hosting of the Games and the country's poor human rights record.
チベット、南モンゴル、香港、ウイグルで大変な弾圧を受けて毎日たくさんの方が苦しんでいる中での中国でのオリンピックは反対ですので今日ここに来ました。
Olympic athletes and personnel are being kept away from the public to prevent the virus from spreading. Many of them have complained that the protocols are stricter than the Tokyo Summer Olympics last year. But more than 350 people, including dozens of athletes, tested positive upon entering Beijing for the sporting events. Among them, Finland ice hockey player Marko Anttila. He's been in quarantine for the last 18 days, unable to compete.
And from medical perspective, we know that a person like this is no longer infectious, no danger to the other team. And these isolation decisions are not based on medicine or science. It's more a cultural and political decision.
Athletes and journalists have lodged complaints of poor living conditions at their hotels, such as poor internet connection, bad food, and a lack of training equipment.
We feel here like we are in jail. We can't go out of the hotel, police is outside, the big fence is there. I can't feel Olympic spirit. Maybe when everything starts it will be different, but I don't know. It's really, really weird.
Heightened security, strict COVID-19 protocols, and politics have dominated headlines. Now with the Games underway, China hopes the spotlight will redirect onto the performance of the athletes. Kama Xu and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
This year's Games are not the first to deal with controversy. Yingkavat takes a look at how people have voiced dissent throughout history by way of an Olympic boycott.
The millions of people the Olympics bring together globally mean they've always been a platform for political dissent. We take a look at some of the more controversial games. The 1936 Games in Nazi Germany were held 3 years before World War II broke out. They were the first televised Olympics, giving Hitler a global audience. In the 1976 Montreal Games, Taiwan was barred from using its official name, Republic of China, under pressure from China. Taiwan could have competed under the name Taiwan, but instead the military government pulled Taiwan out 1 day before the event. In 1979, the Nagoya Resolution directed Taiwan to compete as Chinese Taipei, a name it must use to this day. In protest, Taiwan staged a second boycott, this time of the Moscow Games in 1980. In total, 65 countries withdrew, led by the United States, over the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. The 2022 Winter Olympics comes with rising concern over China's slide into authoritarianism. Still, Beijing is the first city ever given the right to host both Summer and Winter Games.
A confidential UN report has revealed that cyberattacks originating from North Korea have stolen millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency and other digital assets over the past year, helping to fund the country's weapons programs. Countries in the region have voiced their concern after North Korea carried out 9 separate missile tests in January. It was the largest number in a single month in the history of the country's missile program. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is set to meet with officials from Japan and South Korea in Hawaii later this week to discuss regional peace and security. A year since seizing power, Myanmar's military leaders are extending the state of emergency by 6 months. They still have the country's elected leaders behind bars, but armed opposition against the junta is rising.
1 year ago, the night before Papa Ham was meant to take her seat in Myanmar's parliament, she was taken from her home by soldiers. She was just one of dozens of elected leaders arrested during the coup. including democracy icon Aung San Suu Kyi, who is again behind bars facing years in prison. With the junta in power, declaring a year-long state of emergency, freedom has all but disappeared in Myanmar.
They are known for their barbarism against the political dissident. So they use every single possible way to threat the political dissidents.
Initially, there were large-scale demonstrations against the military takeover, but they were violently put down. So residents have taken to voicing their opposition with flash mob-style protests or silent strikes which leave the streets deserted. In rural areas, armed militias have been fighting with junta troops. The conflicts have displaced hundreds of thousands.
Now, countless people are suffering from devastating socioeconomic challenges and humanitarian hardships.
Despite Western nations sanctioning Myanmar's top military leaders, the Regional Association of Southeast Asian Nations has not denounced the generals. A year on, the military leaders extended the state of emergency in a bid to justify their rule. But the people of Myanmar say the coup has failed and that the generals do not have control over the country. They are simply waging a war with its people. Rick Yi and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's women's football team has lost to Vietnam in the final game of the AFC Asian Cup. This means the squad missed out on a chance to qualify for the FIFA World Cup next year. But as Sandy Chi reports, the team's performance has given the country plenty to cheer for.
Defeated but unbowed. On Sunday, Taiwan missed out on a chance to qualify for next year's FIFA Women's World Cup after a 2-1 loss in the final game of the 2022 Asian Cup. Vietnam opened the scoring in Mumbai with a powerful header from a corner kick, but Taiwan came roaring back as Su Yushen slotted in from a tight angle into the bottom left corner. But it was not to be for Taiwan as Vietnam scored the winner in the 55th minute with a powerful shot from 7 yards. The defeat came as many of Taiwan's most experienced players were sidelined after testing positive for COVID-19. But according to Taiwan's head coach Kazuo Ichigo, it was also an opportunity for younger players to gain some valuable experience. In the final, China beat South Korea, winning the Women's Asian Cup for a record 9th time. Despite the heartbreak, there is still hope for Taiwan's World Cup dream. They now move to a 10-team Interconfederation playoff tournament in 2023. It is a chance to secure one of the final 3 spots for the World Cup, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand next summer. Rick Yi and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
The Lunar New Year tradition of writing spring couplets is alive and well in Taiwan. Even now that the holiday is over, these auspicious messages on red paper can be seen throughout the country. Philip Broussard has the story of experienced calligraphers who are sharing their art to bring blessings to their community.
A common sight during the Lunar New Year are spring couplets like this one, adorning the doorways of homes and shops. They're meant to bring good fortune for the new year. And every year, 2 elderly calligraphers use their talent to bring prosperity to the people of Taichung City's Gongming village. 88-year-old Wang Shuming's skills have been honed through many years of practice, going as far back as the mid-1900s, when he worked for the U.S. military.
那个时候铅笔也没有，圆珠笔没有，钢笔也没有啊。在美军做简报做什么都写。
Retired pharmacist Lu Xianzhong has had an interest in calligraphy since he was young.
初中联考都是用书法，作文都要写毛笔的，所以那时候就有一个底子。
The people of Gongming village are invited to take the spring couplets home with them, ensuring that with these gifts from Wang and Lu, the Year of the Tiger gets off to a beautiful start. Asnaya Zhou and Philip Broussard for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Erika Liu. Finally today, we leave you with images from the largest light display in Europe this year. It's the Copenhagen Light Festival, underway through the end of the month. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. See you next time. Take care.